1. Wake up, really gonna rise with the sun. Step 2. Get some good, some food in you. Step 3. Think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4. Everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo, set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flies, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up, really gonna rise with the sun. Step 2. Get some good, some food in you. Step 3. Think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4. Everybody just do your thing.
Hi, Bullhorn Betty. Thank you for my shirt. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Kids Club.
We will see you guys back here real soon.
I'm Jennifer Santinello, and this is Layla. She's my firstborn child. She's the child that made me a mother. If my girl is out there somewhere, I would like for these stories to reach her. She seems to have vanished, and we have been investigating her disappearance for almost 3 months now. We need more eyes on her story. We need to shine a light and get her story out of just this small town that it's in. I am here to implore you to share and talk about our girl. If my girl is no longer with us, I would like for those who know what happened to her to feel the pressure.
What inspired you to this particular case?
I'm always interested in stuff like this. Obviously, talking to you about the Summerwell stuff like that, I'm not always trying to be on the right side and help people that are hurting. But her being local, and like I told her, my son's 25, and Layla ain't too much younger, so
Yeah,
it could
so
be anybody from Kingsport. It's the
it
way I
could.
look at it, you know.
Yeah,
And more people should be here helping her, as far as I'm concerned.
I agree.
Many of us came from all over the country to help Jennifer Santinello look for her daughter. Can you help? If you know something, say something.
Hey guys, Bullhorn Betty here. So there's something going on in my community and I need your help with. So this is a double homicide that happened in my community, but there's a lot more to this case than meets the eye. This is Thomas Matajek. He actually killed his mother and her boyfriend recently, but the problem here is he shouldn't even have been out of jail. He should have been in a mental hospital, and he is deemed incompetent to stand trial. This right here is our state attorney, and his name is Ed Brodsky. He has been our state attorney in the 12th district for some time. I recently learned our law enforcement officer, Sheriff Rick Wells, has arrested this guy many times and has prepared a case and sent that over to the state prosecutor. Ed Brodsky was supposed to litigate the matter. However, he ended up taking the felony case, reducing it to a misdemeanor, sending it to a misdemeanor court, and then just a month ago sent this deranged mental patient to a halfway house where he escaped and killed his mother. How can you help Bullhorn Betty? You can help Bullhorn Betty by saying, we will not accept this. This is unacceptable. Our law enforcement does their job and they send it over to the prosecutors just to let them go. Now, 2 people in my own backyard have lost their life because of these horrible and poor decisions at the hand of the state prosecutor, not law enforcement. So please, I ask you, is this going to be acceptable in your community as well? This is how you can help. If this case bothers you, if it disgusts you, if you realize 2 people should not be laying in the morgue right now, please consider giving Ed Brodsky a call and letting him know this is unacceptable from any state prosecutor.
Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
YouTube and X, it's nice to see you here this Tuesday morning. We survived Christmas. We survived the new year. We are in 2024 as of yesterday. You guys did survive. You did survive 2023. Congratulations. What a bumpy ride it was, but we are survivors. Strolling up in 2024 in our Ferrari, right? That's us. We're strolling into 2024 in our Ferrari. Manifestation, guys. Manifestation. You have to manifest this stuff if it's going to happen. Good morning. Bullhorn Betty is present, lively as can be this Tuesday morning. Bubble Bath is up in the house along with Mom, Alabama Mom of 4. Bullhorn Betty's present, obviously, hanging out with the crew. Sonia, Jules, it's nice to see you. We have Jerry up in the house as well. The real me too. Jules, it's nice to see you. Good morning. Good morning. Manic Mama T is up in the house as well. I already said good morning to you, Jerry. Good morning. Good morning. Who else? We were chatting this morning. We're all in here. Oh, what did I miss? Elsie, it's nice to see you as well. Good morning. Good morning, Michelle Lynn. Nice to see you here this morning. Q-Tip. Oh, Q-Tip. Cutie Pie is in the house. Maybe I need the earwax out of my ears. I'm not sure. Why didn't it? My button is a little sticky. I don't remember putting anything on my buttons. Donna Clark, it's nice to see you. TL, good morning. Betty fan, it's lovely to see you up in the house. Good morning, Stacy. TL. Who else do we have? We have Donna. I think I said hi to you already. Tammy, good morning, Tammy. It's nice to see you, love bug. Cranky Pants, look at where are you coming from? It's nice to see you over here. I'm just joking. It's nice to see you, cranky pants. I gotta say, I'm not cranky this morning. I don't know what's going on. I have to check my temperature. Sheila's up in the house. Positive vibes. It's nice to see you all here this morning. Teresa, good morning. Good morning. Who else am I missing? I think I just about got you all. Hug dealer. We got the hug dealer. Bitter pill to swallow. 2023 is a bitter pill to swallow. 2024, we're good. We're good. Keep toking, buddy. Keep toking. Sean, it's nice to see you up in the house. I've seen somebody say hi to you, but I didn't see you. So good morning. Good morning, you and Hug Stealer. I love that. Oh, where is it? Wrong one. There it is. Good morning. Good morning. We got a dealer up in the house. Who needs some hugs? Okay. Hugs are free today. Hugs are free. Who needs one? Come on. Come on. Who needs one? If you need a hug, put a 1 in the chat. Let's give everybody a big old virtual hug this morning. Oh, good morning. Good morning. So yesterday we forgot to read The Language of Letting Go, but I have to be honest with you. I did read it. It was awfully long and we had so much to go over. I mean, it was 2 solid pages and we had so much to go over yesterday that I just didn't have time to go over this. This one's a little bit smaller and a little more direct and to the point. And I like it because it dovetails right into a comment that we just made. Ironically. January 2nd is doing my part, right? Doing my part. The surest way to become tense, awkward, and confused is develop a mind that tries too hard, one that thinks too much, the toe of poo. The universe will help us, but we need to do our part as well. Here's my acronym, my part, MYPART. To help you remember what it means, here you go. My, the M, manifest, Y, your, P, power, A, accept, R, relax, and T, trust. So manifest your power, accept, relax, and trust. Too often we tell ourselves the only way to get from point A to point B or Z is to tense up, assess a little or a lot, and live in fear and anxiety until what we want takes place. This isn't the path to success. It's the path to fear and anxiety. Relax, accept, breathe, and then let go. Trust yourself, God, and the universe to manifest the best possible destiny when the time is right for you. God, help me make the journey from fear and control to letting go and stepping into my true power. A lot of people ask, how do you not get frustrated? I can promise you that I get frustrated. I get irritated. I'm normally loud because I'm deaf. My voice carries. It's carried my entire life. I don't even know what I sound like unless I record myself and play it back. That's how deaf I am, right? So it's just one of those things that you have to manifest. You have to do your part. And you have to take control and take your power back. It's not about not being frustrated or living this amazing life and not having any problems. It's about being human. Yep. It's about being human and realizing you don't have to walk the path alone. That in and of itself it kind of relieves you from anxiety. I'm one of those person, what happens is going to happen. Like when I'm packing up, I promise, and this is so true. And every time I don't do this, I regret it. When I'm packing up to go on a trip, you know how sometimes you just snag something or something just flies and you're like, oh, why did it have to fall off the counter? Or, you're kind of frustrated. Like, to me, that's a sign. It's telling you to pick whatever just fell on that floor up and put it in your bag and take it with you. Do you know how many times that weird phenomenons like that have happened when I've been here packing up to go to a trip? And something fall in front of me and I picked it up and put it on the counter and walked out the door. And then I realized when I got there, that thing that fell in front of me, I need. So after that had happened, this weird phenomenon started happening. And so I started picking up these things. Like if I pack up and something falls in front of me, I now naturally pick it up and put it in my bag. Do you know how many times that has happened where something fell in front of me. I actually picked it up and put it in my bag, got to my destination, and needed that very thing that I was about to leave behind. And it was because it was literally thrown in front of me. So, the universe does help us along the way. They help guide us. We have, God and everything help guide us, but we have to do our part too. And our part is to let go and let God. You don't need to be in fear anymore. You don't need to have anxiety. People are having hard times paying their bills, right? Making their check stretch from one point to another point. You got to let go. You can't, that whole entire week, you are strained. You're in a bad mood. And you know what ends up happening? You always seem to just get by, don't you? You always seem to just squeeze on by. And you're fine. And think about that whole entire week of anxiety, frustration, and irritation. And you didn't even need to do it. You were just fine. All along, you were just fine. That's the power of God. That's the power of you. Do your part. And always remember, you and you alone are the person that controls you. Nobody else, just you. You can choose to be a kind person, or you can choose to be a mean and evil person. Every morning you wake up and you get to make the choice yourself. How do you want to live your life today? Moving over, God bless you guys. God bless you guys. Moving over, this is, we've been talking about the Soto case and Guerra case, that we have kind of, set aside some other important things going on in the world. One being Japan. Okay. I'm seeing footage coming in from Japan right now. It's devastating. We all know that on New Year's, they had a huge earthquake and tsunami. This is the damage. Let me turn the volume off. This is the damage of Japan. So I'm just asking my flock here to keep Japan in their prayers. I know we have to say prayers every day for the stuff that we cover and the pain that's out there, but this is very devastating. I'm absolutely confident lives were lost here. And we just want to pray for the victims' families, and just keep Japan in our blessings and prayers. This is, again, very devastating. We can't tell you how many people have lost their lives. We don't know. But I can't imagine that this went without a loss of life. That's pretty scary right there. Pretty scary. So I just wanted to kind of give you guys an update on what's going on in Japan. Obviously, all these countries are very strong. They're going to rebuild, as we all do. We all just survive in this crazy world. And Mother Nature kind of wreaks havoc, and we're at the mercy of Mother Nature sometimes. So it's sad. I know that they'll get over this. They'll survive this. But wow. You can't foresee everything. Another little tidbit before we start getting into the Soto case is Brian Coburger. You guys know we've been following the Brian Coburger case for really some significant amount of time. I've done 2 tours out there. We did extensive research on the case. And so I didn't want to get too far away from it. It sounds like they're trying to challenge the, re-challenge the indictment. So Nancy Taylor wants the judge to reconsider the indictment. With this second bite at the apple, I'm almost confident this is going to be one of their appeals at the court level, at the appellate level, when this case is resolved. She's already preparing her appeals. And this is one of those very appeals that she will be filing on Brian Coburger's behalf upon conviction of this crime, in my opinion. Okay, this is not fact. I didn't talk to Nancy Taylor to ask her if this is what her strategy is. This is just my opinion, because we got a second bite at the apple. There's a reason for that, and I'm sure it's for an appellate process. So that's kind of where we are currently at with that. So I just want you guys to hear this.
Is asking a judge to reconsider dismissing a grand jury indictment against him. Coburger is accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students in an off-campus home in 2022. His attorneys have made several attempts to get the indictment against him dismissed, but so far each of those attempts has been denied.
Yeah, and it's been denied, and I think they're going to.
Hearing on this matter now scheduled for January 26th. Court also has not set a date for the trial yet.
So we know that they're pushing for a summer trial in the Brian Coburger case. We'll keep you guys posted on the trial and when it's going to happen. This is a trial that we're going to be at. Come hell or high water, Idaho or bust. We're going to be at this trial. Whenever it is, we're going. And if it's going to be 6 weeks, we're going to be there 6 weeks. It's going to be a very costly and expensive trip for us to make it to Idaho to cover this trip. The last time we went up there for about a week, it cost Olivia and myself, $5,000. So it was over $10,000 for each of us to be in Idaho, those 2 trips. So this is going to be a 6-week trip. It's going to be a little cheaper, I believe, because we can rent an Airbnb, which will help keep the cost down. When you're only there for a week, the cleaning cost is so outrageous that it doesn't make sense to rent an Airbnb. But I think the Airbnb is going to be the way to go for the 6 weeks, to be honest with you, because then we'll have, washer, dryer. We won't have to pack so much, but we will be there for that trial, for that 6-week trial. Yes, and don't forget, thank you, B. Betty. Don't forget, Sonia's been doing a lot of great work. Many of you guys know Sonia. She does a lot of shirt orders here. And I hope you guys do utilize her. Don't think that you only have to call Sonia for Bullhorn Betty shirts. She designs custom items. So if you have a birthday party, if you have a family reunion, those expensive custom ink t-shirts that you get for your family reunions that cost like $45 or $50 per shirt. Sonia can make those much cheaper for you and your family. If you guys want, matching shirts, those are some ideas. If you just want something, a gag gift, some saying, for this one, and I'll bring Kaylee and Maddie in here. One of their sayings to each other was life without you would be so boring. And the other saying was it's a forever thing. You know what I'm saying? So there might be some special stuff that you guys would like to do. So get over there, get to her shop. Also, she's been doing great work on our channel. With Truth and also with Layla Santanella's case. So please get over there, support Sonia, support her channel, support her growth. We need good creators that have good hearts here on the streets of YouTube. Good morning, Speculation Station. I didn't get a chance to say good morning to you. So good morning, Skittles. I see that you came in. Did I miss somebody else? MJ, Candy Apple. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. So I'm just, I'm assuming this to be true on the Brian Coburger case, that this is going to be one of the issues that they are going to have an appellate process over. So that's kind of where we're at this moment in time. Now, we're going to go ahead and start getting into the Soto Guerra case now. For those that are just now joining us for this, I'm Bullhorn Betty. If you've never met me before, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can also find me on TikTok as well. Blue Sky, it's nice to see you. Peter, good morning. It's nice to see you as well. So let me just give you the Reader's Digest version of what happened. This is not going to be a detailed version. We're going to get into some more details. We've been covering this case, so if you have any questions, maybe go back to the other lives that we've done. We've covered different aspects of this case on each and every one of the lives. We've been focusing on the body type and of the gentleman stepping out of the truck, because that's the one we have the most visual aid to help us describe. The girl that popped out of the car was only popped out for literally 2 seconds, just long enough for us to see the side of her face and the ponytail to know that she's a female, and she got back in the car. So what had happened is on 12/22, they were at their Grissom Home Avenue or apartment home. And then Savanah was supposed to be induced on the 23rd in the afternoon. She never made it to the appointment, and the family got worried after they could not reach her or her boyfriend on the phone. So grandma went down to San Antonio Police Department to file the police report, to find out they needed to go to Leon Valley to file the missing person report. It sounds like around that time, on that same day, it appears that, and I don't know what time, it wasn't clarified to me, or if it was clarified, I missed it. The father of Matthew went over to the house and kicked in the door, apparently removed some items from the home before then going and reporting his own son missing. It sounded, we had some clips from social media of the family when they were missing. The families were very scared. It sounded like at the beginning when Savanah and Matthew went missing, Savannah's family automatically kind of assumed that Matt had something to do with it, which caused those initial hurt feelings right up front. And then, of course, days later, 3 to 4 days later, on the 27th, I think it was the 26th or the 27th. I don't have the very specific date at the moment, but I think it was the 27th potentially that they've actually found the car belonging to Matthew. But it wasn't one of these things that they were just dumped and disappeared. Somebody called the tip in to find the car. The car apparently had paper plates on it and just recently had regular plates on it, or somebody took the paper plate off and added a junk other license plate on the car. I don't know which. We just know that it had a paper tag, and then the tag on it was a legit tag from Texas. That tip and lead was called into the sister-in-law of Savanah. Her name was Joni Wassel. And they went to the location and found the two people deceased in the car. We were told by the family that the car seat was actually over the head of Savanah. Obviously, after that, San Antonio ended up releasing a video of a man stepping out of a truck, a female stepping out of a car that appeared, we all assume both Savanah as well as Matthew were already deceased at the time that we saw that capture on that doorbell camera or whatever camera that was. So that's kind of where we are. We learned early on that there was a lot of drugs, gang activity involved in this. And while we're not going to focus too much on that, because to be honest with you, I don't care what lifestyle they live. No matter what lifestyle they live, they didn't deserve this. And I'm not going to victimize victims here, especially one where an unborn baby was also a victim of this heinous crime, which is just unacceptable to me or anybody. And I don't care what life those people lived. That was inexcusable, and unacceptable in a civilized environment. So these people that did this are not civilized. Okay. They're not civilized human beings. They do not need to be walking among us. So I always get up every morning and I go through I do research all day. So I've already got an idea of how this show is going to go. And then I do some research in the morning to see if any information has changed. And of course, yesterday I saw this from Jennifer Coffindaffer, and I wanted to bring it up here. And then we're going to just talk about it just ever so slightly. And it says, and this is kind of the inspiration of our show today. Police, I believe, are getting close to making arrests. I say arrest because I believe multiple people are involved. We can see at least 2 on the video. And I beg to differ. Even though we can't see the third person, we've identified there was definitely another person inside that truck, whether we saw that person or not. So definitely at minimum 3. I believe drugs, money, and the possible retaliatory component will all be part of the why. Police have more videos. We all know that they have to have more videos. Police have digital phone data. We have to believe, this has been a week. We have to believe some of those initial search warrants are starting to produce results. Police will be geofencing data. Police have witness statements. Police have social media communications, and police will piece all of this together. We also saw that on the discussion group that somebody had actually cleared up the image of the license plate. This was provided to me a couple days ago. One of the reasons why I chose not to put the license plate up on this channel was for the safety factor and the investigative factor of this crime. I don't, especially if it truly are the right numbers on the back of that plate. I don't want to be informing the bad guys what's going on, because we have to think they're just like the police, right? They've got to be on any kind of social media, making sure, monitoring what information that they can come out. They're becoming web sleuths too. Anybody that's involved in this crime are on here looking for any information to see what's going on. Report back. We don't know if the people that did this went to Mexico. A lot of people are assuming that they would have fled to Mexico. We don't know. We don't know, but I do believe in the first 48. I do believe in the first 48, and I do believe that whenever they're doing this investigation, I truly believe that the name, whether they, just because you receive a name doesn't mean you can go out and arrest that person. After you receive the name, you do your investigation on that person. And then you decide whether they've already spoke to them, or after they do their preliminaries, they bring the person in and have a discussion. A detective is never going to go into that interview or interrogation room willy-nilly. They have a clear directive on what they're trying to get at. They have a good understanding on what information they need that subject to tell them, and that's their goal. They have very specific. Sometimes it might just be 3 things on their list. We need him to acknowledge him being in the car or touching the car. There's a list that they've prepared of what they need to fill in the gaps to get that probable cause affidavit over to the courts for the arrest warrant. So there's a lot of processes that go in here. So when they're coming in and giving interviews, these are not willy-nilly interviews. These are the detectives that are working this case and have all the updated information. They know what they're reviewing in those reports. They know what they're seeing in that forensic data information, the geofencing, all of those things, the comments. These people are well versed in all of this. And they have this knowledge before they ever even open their mouth or even speak with that. If you notice, even in the first 48 hours, you guys need to go back, and I know we've all watched the first 48 hours probably until we know what's going to happen next in each of the episodes, but go back and watch it again. See their processes. I go back and watch it because I have to identify the behaviors of law enforcement. And you guys know I look at the law enforcement's behavior. So I watch a lot of these real life crime shows to hear and see the behaviors, especially on the first 48 hours of law enforcement. I'm not really following the case. And occasionally I'll pick up a little trick or a tool that can be used by watching them. But I really do like the processes and understanding the investigation aspect from law enforcement's eyes with the visual aid. Like we have law enforcement here on YouTube that talk about these cases, but you don't get to see them in action. You don't get to see how they did their work in the field and stuff like that. This is field work, and that's the stuff that I'm hungry to learn. So that's what I focus on, especially when it comes to these cases, because at the end of the day, like this particular case here, we've got law enforcement that just ghosted the whole entire world, right? So, and that's what we expect from them to do. They come to social media to get leads flowing. When they get the leads flowing, they turn off the spigot, right? And that's kind of what goes on behind the scenes, in my opinion, is that the law enforcement has all the leads they need. They've gotten this case where they need. They don't need the public's involvement. Naturally, we're still going to be talking about the case. I wasn't going to cover this anymore, but there's still not arrests yet. And I still think there's a lot of information and a lot of help that we can provide, especially with the body typing. I've been working very diligently. Who escaped and killed their own mother? Oh, that was, what the heck was his name? I got to go back and look at that. That was a case that just happened a couple months ago. What was his name? Let's see what his name was. Matejak. I think it was Matejak. Something Matejak. I remember that. But I can't be certain of the name. But it was just one of those things. Hey, Hopeful, it's nice to see you. Good morning. Good morning, Rhonda. It's nice to see you as well. I love the sumo wrestler photos. Well, it's so funny because I sent those over to Justin before I ever talked about, body types on this thing. So it was like yesterday, he's like, send us stuff. I'm like, well, if you want some more sumo wrestler porn, because I think I sent him like, I don't know, 3 or 4 different videos or photos or something like that. At least I didn't get them fighting where you actually, I'm sorry, I cannot watch sumo wrestling. The skin smacking is just it's almost as awkward for me as the word moist. I hate that word moist. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it, but I use it, right? Even when I pick up Duncan Hines or Betty Crocker, it says for moist cake, right? And I almost don't even want to pick up the cake mix because it has moist on it, right? So don't want Betty to describe. Oh, stop it. Stop it. Sumo wrestler, you're beautiful. Sumo wrestler porn is what I asked Justin. He's wanting people to send him stuff. Like, do you want any more sumo wrestling porn? I'm happy to send it. I got plenty. I've been researching the heck out of this case, and it looks like a sumo wrestler walked out of that truck. So, I'm looking at all this stuff. This is a opinion piece that I got on Reddit, and you guys know I don't use Reddit for factual information. If I find something in here, I'll research it. If I find like, oh, this perspective makes sense, let me see what I can find. I'll research it. But for the most part, I really don't use Reddit for that. What I use Reddit for is perspective, hearing what other people are saying about the case. And so this is no different. This is something that I read and I thought, you know what? I really need to bring this up for the audience because I really want you guys to read it and listen to this perspective. There's a reason why everything I bring up here, there's a reason. It resonated with me somehow. It's right there. And then we're going to go over some more comments Cinema Shogun had made yesterday in one of his videos. And I want to kind of expand on some of the comments that he made. First, I find it strange the police didn't give a timestamp on the video released of the car and truck meeting up briefly. I thought that very first sentence is the reason why I grabbed this article from Reddit. Because honestly, it's funny, but not funny. Because it did cross my, hey, cool gamer, it did cross my mind. Why is there no stamp on there? But I never said anything about it. And, until it's brought up like here, you sit there and think, is this a clue? Why didn't they tell us when they were dropped off? We have no idea when they may have been abducted. If they were abducted from their apartment, that's unclear as well, because we know that Matthew was going to be re-upping that night. So is this where they willingly got in their car and drove to a secondary location? Or did somebody come to their home and that's what made Savanah scream and then them abducting them from their apartment? Because they wouldn't have did the wet work at that apartment because, let's face it, apartments you can hear through the walls. Somebody would very well know that shots were being fired from that apartment and would leave little time for the assailants to leave. So I don't think that the apartment shooting would, especially if it's planned, would have been the prime area for them to take out this, to do this crime anyways. So the question really does come back in my mind to whether they willingly left that apartment, which I don't believe they did because they had a candle on. The family said that the candles are never lit when they're not home. And the candle was on. So it almost implied that they had to leave really, really quickly from that home. So, and then we have the scream as well. So it always led me to believe that there is that possibility that somebody showed up to their home and snatched them and either took them to talk to the big guy, and that's where the altercation took place and where the whack happened. But I still believe, this there is no time frame, so we have no idea when they actually left their apartment, and we have no time when they actually showed up in that parking lot. And I think those are critical. That's critical information for us as the public, but it's also information directly related to the integrity of the investigation. So I understand why they're not changing that. They don't want the assailants to pre-plan the questioning. The assailants know what time that video was taken. Law enforcement knows what time that video was taken, but nobody else knows what time that video was taken. Only the people there and the police that saw it. So the exact time and date would allow people in the area to check their cameras in that time frame. It could also lead to more tips and witnesses and possible leads on sightings of the individuals involved. I agree with that first statement, that first paragraph. All of the above, I agree with. Second, I've seen it said that some people believe they were killed and kept in a garage before being placed back into the car and then dumped in the parking lot. It would be very risky to drive that vehicle with 2 dead people inside of it, especially since it was being looked out for already. And after 3 or 4 days, the smell of decomp would be suffocating. Are the police saying the car was parked there for 3 or 4 days, or do they think that it was just recently moved to that spot, but the victims had been dead for 3 or 4 days already? So my understanding with that statement is I don't know, because we personally don't know what time frame or the date that they dumped that car off. If I recall correctly, we're going to have to probably re-listen to the interview with the police chief. Or was it the police chief or the sheriff? I think it was the police chief. I think it was San Antonio police chief. Yes, it was the police chief. What is it? Moxirella. Hopefully I didn't. Moxirella. Hopefully I said your name right. Good morning, love. Good morning. Did I miss anybody else that came in? Miss Pease. It's nice to see you. Good morning, love. Just Debbie. Hopeful. I've been talking to you, but I haven't said good morning to you. So good morning, Hopeful. It's nice to see you. So it comes back to this car, and this is going to be coming dovetailing right into Cinema Shogun comments from yesterday after we got off our live. I did want to comment on those because I really do agree with a lot of his assessment on this case. I like kind of how he's analyzing this and his thoughts on it. But the understanding that I had related to this 3 or 4 days is that I could have sworn they said that they believed they were in the car for 3 or 4 days, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the car was parked in that parking lot for 3 or 4 days. I don't know if they ever clarified that, law enforcement, so we could actually not speculate on it. But I think that's where it's going to be. We're just going to have to speculate until we see a probable cause affidavit after the arrest of whatever individual is being arrested for this crime. That's just my thought, but I will have to go back and actually, let me just pull that up. Let's go ahead and address this right now. Let's see. Soto press conference. I think it's this one right here. Let's listen to what they say.
I would ask that you call homicide on 207-7635. You can remain anonymous. You do not have to give your name. The video was taken from a nearby location where the bodies were located. And finally, here is a slowed down image of the first person of interest getting out of the Chevy Silverado that is seen next to the Kia.
I'm hoping that this one says the information. We may have to go to the original press conference he did at the scene. I can't remember which one it was. There's a longer press conference. This is just a little less than a 5-minute clip. And I'm hoping that he hits the right information here. If not, I will go back and find the full length interview, and we're going to sit here and find it. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Hopeful. I appreciate that. So we're going to go back. We'll try to find, I just didn't want to spend through a half an hour, but if this clip doesn't have it, we may have to spend a half an hour to find it, but we will. We need to hear it.
And then there'll be another slowed down image of the second person of interest getting out of the victim's Kia Optima.
And I don't think that they have those clips on their PD Twitter account, because I went and looked at them, and he doesn't play them here at this press conference for whatever reason. I guess he expected people to cut it in, to split it and overlay the images, but they didn't play it to the best of my knowledge. I don't even think there was a screen a TV screen in this area. I could be wrong though. I'm unsure. I didn't see it.
Once you've looked at the video, I will take a few questions. Again, only to clarify what I've said, if you're not quite sure about it, but I will not take questions other than what I've just talked about because the investigation is still active.
So here we're going to go into the questions again. We'll go back to the original interview and look at the questions on there because I remember somebody asked. I know he addressed but I think he addressed it out in front of the crime scene. So if you guys know where it's at, send it to me. But
he said that for Matthew Guerra, it was a gunshot wound to the head. But when we called them, they said it's a contact gunshot wound. What does that mean?
It means that it was there.
They put the butt of the gun, the muzzle of the gun, to the contact, to the skin, or very close to it.
When we talk about the manner of death has not been determined, the manner meaning, was it a suicide or was it a murder? So that's what the ME has yet to officially put out.
We now know that they're both. This is a triple homicide. I believe they're the third victim. They're going to classify Fabian as the third victim in this because of he was going to be due. I don't know how they're going to deal with. I know they've dealt with pregnant women in the past, and I'm pretty sure it's the same type of charge for the unborn child.
So there's
but we do know that they work. It is classified as a homicide due to a gunshot wound.
Possibility that this could be a murder suicide.
That possibility exists, but right now we don't believe so unless we get information from the ME that would change our current course.
I think everybody at the beginning of this thought that that would be the case, the murder suicide aspect. I know when this was breaking, we covered it here on this channel, and obviously new information came out that has leaned this in a very more disturbing manner.
You don't believe so, and I wonder the callousness of all this. What is your message to the person or persons who may have committed this?
I'm getting past that. That this police chief doesn't like answering that question. There's no point.
I mean, what message would I give to those folks? I mean, I don't see what the value of that question is. But anyway.
And just to clarify, you were treating this as a homicide for both people?
It is a capital murder investigation.
For both victims?
Yes, right now, unless we get information that changes that.
And Chief, when was this surveillance video? Is this on the 26th?
Say it again?
Where and when was this surveillance video taken?
A few days before.
Yeah.
A few days before is what we're getting. A few days. So that means more than two. More than two.
The bodies were discovered.
And where was this? What's the address of this area?
Where what?
What's that? Is this where the bodies were discovered?
Very close to it, yes.
Very close to it.
I do see, I believe he is handing something to the driver of the pickup truck. Do we know anything about that?
I mean, that's what we're looking at. What we believe right now, it was something to wipe the side of the car down with.
So in this one, we did determine that the car was placed there a few days before it was found, but we still haven't heard about the I remember them specifically saying 3 to 4 days they've been inside the car, but I don't think it specifically stated that they've been in that location 3 to 4 days. But with him saying that car was there a few days before it was found, it's leading me to believe that they must have done that literally right after they offed both Savanah and Matthew. It doesn't seem like them laying on the floor of a garage holds water, is what I'm trying to say.
We can't be 100% certain with that, but that's what we're studying in this video, and that's what we believe right now.
And do we believe that these people may have any links of some sort? Do we know what links they have to victims?
I don't know that. And again, would be part of the investigation.
So just to be clear, the vehicle, the Kia Optima, that's the vehicle that they were found in?
Yes.
Okay. But the person that's getting out of the vehicle, you're saying out of the Kia Optima, is there somebody that gets out of that vehicle that you're trying to?
Yes.
And you don't believe it to be either Matthew or?
No.
Okay.
So do you all believe that they were shot the killings happened somewhere else
This
and
might
then
be
they
it.
drove the car and dumped it in
Well,
that parking lot?
You know, again, I don't want to get into the details other than what I've talked about here today. So the answer to that question would be yes. But other than that, again, I'm not going to answer.
So they believe the answer to that question is yes. Let's go back to the question because he said a lot of stuff. Let's just listen.
Dumped it in
Well,
that parking lot?
Let's
No.
So do you all believe that they were shot, the killings happened somewhere else and then they drove the car and dumped it in that parking lot?
And that's where he says the short answer is yes. So there's our answer as to whether there is a secondary location. There is. The chief of police just stated so. Okay. So this is some more information that we may have overlooked at the time. But law enforcement is looking at that aspect. Like they killed them in a secondary location. So they left their home by force or willingly, left their home, went to a secondary location. They were killed at that secondary location and then drove back to that apartment complex and dumped. That's what he just told us.
Parking lot?
You know, again, I just talked about.
So in this video, do you think that they're dead or alive?
Pardon?
In this video, do you think they're dead or alive?
Again, I'm not going to get into that.
I think he answered that with the other question.
And then one other question, the day of the crime scene, you called it perplexing. Now you've learned a couple more details. Can you go into why you use that word?
Because it was unknown at the time. I mean, we had been there not very long at all. And it was undetermined at that time whether we were going to be looking at it as a murder-suicide or as a capital murder investigation. So I think we've kind of gotten past that point right now, unless we.
So we all know that at this point, I think everybody across social media knows that there is no murder-suicide. They were both murdered. Obviously, we have some details. We can't confirm or corroborate that Matthew was worse off, but the family is stating Matthew was so much worse off. So we have to acknowledge and believe that.
We get evidence that would lead us to believe otherwise, but I think we're past that point right now.
You said the bodies have been there for several days. How many days exactly?
So he just asked. Here it is, guys. Here it is. Let me go back. Here it is. It's at the very end of this video. I think we got all our answers here.
Now, unless we get evidence that would lead us to believe otherwise, but I think we're past that point right now.
You said the bodies have been there for several days. How many days exactly?
I don't know exactly, but they'd been there for a few days, I'll say.
So what took you so long to find the car if the car was parked there for several days?
What took us so long to find it?
Yes, if the car was parked over there for like several days.
Nobody.
Okay, so it ended there. We didn't hear the answer to that question. I'll have to go back and review that that entire I watched it once, but it's kind of like, we've been focusing on other stuff. So we got to wait. I think that did answer our question. So they believe that they were inside that car, dumped at that location for a few days. So I just wanted to clarify that because we are going over the Reddit post here. And I wanted to make sure that we addressed some of the stuff here. So while I believe number one, the second one about them being in a garage for several days, then being placed back in the car. So the second point, based upon the information that we received from law enforcement, I don't believe the second aspect to be true. We believe that they have been 3 or 4 days inside that car at that apartment complex where they dumped the car. It is my belief now that we heard that and re-listened to the press conference that it was shortly after their death, shortly after them being murdered, that car was dumped. That's what I truly believe. At least that's what it's starting to imply here. We can't say it's fact, but it's getting closer to being fact based upon what law enforcement has just told us. The third, let's see if this one makes sense. It makes sense that his pants would have been pulled down by him being dragged into the back seat from the driver's seat. If that's the case, I think it would mean that they were killed inside the vehicle. So what does it say? Third, it makes sense that his pants would have been pulled down by him being dragged to the back seat of the car. If that was the case, I think that would mean they were killed inside the vehicle. Also, I don't know if they dragged him, it seems like they would have killed him outside of the vehicle if they were dragging his body inside the vehicle. So I'm a little confused about that statement. But also, a 9-month pregnant woman's dead body would be extremely difficult to move into the vehicle, making it more probable they were killed inside the vehicle. However, if there is evidence of torture, like I've seen posts, it's hard to imagine them torturing him in such a small confines of the back seat. I'd imagine there would be at least 2 of them. Whether they were killed inside the vehicle or outside the vehicle, I think it's fairly safe to believe the parking lot where they were found is not the primary crime scene. That would lead me to believe the primary crime scene to be close to the parking lot to cut down the chances of being seen driving the car. And that right there goes into Cinema Shogun's statements yesterday and what we're going to be talking. This is going to kind of segue right into the conversation, because we talk about this all the time on this show, and we talked about it many times, especially related to Leilani Simon. We always say that depending on where your location is and how populated that location, it really determines our search area. So when somebody's murdered or disappears, we have a search area. The more people are in an area, the less area that you need to search. So for example, if you're in a heavily populated area, your search area is going to probably be within a 2-mile radius. The more stretched out people are, the larger that radius goes. In rural areas, our search area could be 20 square miles of searching. This seems like a much more heavily populated area. So based on statistically speaking, the crime or where they were murdered at most likely took place within 2 miles of the dump site, statistically speaking. And that was the crux of Cinema Shogun's show, was the vehicle, the placement of the vehicle, the parking of the vehicle. Why that unit? Why that apartment complex? How is it related to this case? Who knew about that place? Who has the connection to that apartment complex? Somebody knew it. And then somebody also brought up that, that this was a sloppy type of hit. I don't know if it was sloppy or not. We don't know that. That's an assumption that people are loosely flying around. But, and everybody's saying, oh, well, they stopped right in front of the camera. How could they not see the camera? Let me give you guys an example. Ring doorbell cameras, they're 2 screws. You might scope out a location, say you're a bad guy, okay? And you're planning a hit, right? So you're scouring locations. Okay, we're going to do this. How we're going to do this is we're going to go to their house. We're going to get them. They're going to come here. We're going to have a conversation and see what they say. And if they don't say what we want them to say, then it's done. We're done with them. We're going to just, off whatever. So you get them there. You kill them, and now you've got to transport those bodies and get them away from that area. And I believe that they had to have been at somebody's home, because if they just met in a dirt road on a desolate street, they could have popped them right there and just left them. They wouldn't have had to get their hands any further dirty by having to load them in the car, if that's what they did, and having to move them. I have a theory. I believe that it's possible that Matthew got out of the car. Say he got to the house, he's re-upping, his supplier calls him. Let's just kind of walk through how this may go. So let's say that they weren't abducted. Okay, let's say they weren't abducted from their apartment, that maybe Savanah, heavily pregnant, did not want to go out to make this dope deal. Okay, let's say that. Let's say her and Matthew were arguing because she didn't want to get in the car and go. Let's give that scream a reasoning. Okay, that may not be the reasoning. They may been abducted from their apartment. We don't know, but in this scenario, we're going to say that they willingly left to go pick up the drugs. Okay, the re-up. Okay, so they willingly left. Well, what typically happens in a situation like that? The women stay in the car, right? The women stay in the car. They don't typically go inside and are associated or anything. They're typically out in the car playing on their phone, talking to their girlfriends or something like that while the guy goes in there and takes care of business. So she could have just been sitting there in the car. And somebody could have just came into the back seat and popped her and had him sitting there in the garage and watch it. And then take him back in to torture him. And then when he's like completely just spent and almost gone, they load him up in the car. One more shot. They take the car away. Now, did that happen? I don't know. This is a wild speculation of experiences that I've had. Okay? And that would explain why she was still in the front seat. And it would explain why he was now in the back seat. Because he's a tall, you guys got to remember, he's over a foot taller. He's about, 6 foot tall or more? He's a tall guy. So this whole idea of them placing her in the back seat versus him, I think they had to put him in the back seat because it would have taken 2 people, one person on one side, one door, and the other person on the other door trying to pull him into the back seat. So I kind of feel like he got out of the car to go take care of business and she was left in the car. And I feel like somebody came into that car, you know, maybe they lifted the garage. She probably was just taken off guard. They lifted the car. She probably saw them all bloody, freaking out. By that time, somebody opened the door. Boom, she's done. He just witnessed it. Now he's going back for more torturing. It's possible. Now, did that happen? I don't know, but we definitely know there's a secondary location because they weren't left at that secondary location. It implies to me that they went to someone's house or something that was connected to one of the people they were doing this deal with, and they could not be left there because it would be a direct link right back to that person. Possibly. Again, all speculation. We have nothing to corroborate this as being a factual scenario. This is just a scenario. Now, the other scenario would be almost identical if they were abducted from their apartment. Okay, so how that would be is they're re-upping. They are expecting their person to come to their home. Sometimes when you're moving a lot of weight, you don't do these deals in cars. You do them inside your home. At this point, when you're moving this much weight, you trust the person that's giving you that type of weight. You have a very good communication, a very good rapport with them, so much so you can come to their house and they can come to yours when you're moving that much weight. When you're dealing with a little bit of weight, you can do that in the car. You can do that in the parking lots. You can do all that. But when you're dealing with the kind of weight this man was dealing with, you do not do that in public. You do not do that in public. So it is possible that that he was expecting these people to come to his house to drop off. He's got a heavily pregnant, fiance that's about to be delivering her baby tomorrow, right? He doesn't have really time to go out right now to go get it. Can you bring it by the house? Knock, knock. You let him in. They brandish a gun and say, you guys need to come with us. You hear the girls scream. They take him. Same difference. She's in the car. She's got a babysitter with him while they take him in the house or take them wherever. But I truly do believe that her execution was part of his torture. So I absolutely believe in my heart of hearts. I don't know why I feel this way, but I believe he watched her die. I really do. I believe that these animals made him watch his fiance and his unborn baby perish before they killed him. I truly believe that because there's nothing more painful than that. And we know he was tortured. And if he was tortured, I believe that would have been part of it. Just my thought. So that was, again, not going to Reddit for factual information, going there as a point for perspective. That was a good analysis from a different perspective, from a different person that uses a different portion of their brain to analyze facts. Everybody's a little different in their rationale of this case. We want to keep this very loose. We do not want to, because this is gang related, I'm very cognizant that people's lives could be in danger. Okay. We are all cognizant that this kind of stuff puts people's lives in danger. So some other information that we're finding is the streets know the whole story. I think each and every one of us sitting in this chat, there may be somebody saying, no, they kept it to themselves. But in this gang relationship with their clan, so to speak, their people, their crew, they all pretty much know, except the low level people. They don't know anything unless they're used to take them out. Because, these higher end people, they will use a pawn to do stuff like this so they don't have to get their hands dirty. And when that pawn goes to jail, they're required to keep their mouth shut, because if they don't, they will have a very tough time in jail. So there were at least 3 people who plotted on them. That's already too many. One of them was probably a young woman. She's going to be the first to tell. And the phone data is going to do everybody in. While everybody is on Facebook and YouTube trying to piece everything together, people that know for FR know better for real. People that know for real know better than to blast the business. It's most likely going to stay in the streets, and I think they were set up by people they thought were their friends. Set up by people that they thought were their friends. And you know what? What's eerily crazy about this is that's what happened to her brother. That's what happened to her brother. Now, do we know that this happened? No, this is somebody, it even says on here, opinion. It says right here, opinion. Right there, opinion. Somebody's opinion. It's not factual. It's just an opinion. I believe this opinion, though. I mean, it does make sense because we know how the streets talk, and we know how they don't talk. They don't talk to police. I shouldn't say that. They talk to police. They just talk to them anonymously. Because let's face it, there are good people, whether people like to hear it or not. Even like in the Pork and Beans neighborhood of Miami, which is a real rough area, there's good Christian people there living in all of that chaos because they can't afford a better lifestyle for themselves. It's not that they're good people. It's not that they're drug dealers. It's not that they're gang members. It's not that they're running the streets with guns and all this other stuff. It's not like that. There are good-hearted people, good Christian people that never have broken the law, never done anything wrong, living in these communities that are riddled with violence and crime. And I feel bad for them. Trying to do the right thing, trying to keep their lives straight and narrow, clean and good. And their biggest problem is being poor. Their lives are in jeopardy because they can't make ends meet. Hey, Turkey Man, it's nice to see you. Hey, Elfig. Apple Bottom, nice to see you. So again, not a whole lot of factual information, just perspective. Just perspective. And I could literally stay on this channel all day going through perspective. We all have it. But we need to find out, how is all of this going to help? There's just one more. Let me see what the next one is. Okay, yeah. So there's just one more Reddit post that I wanted to address. And then we're going to get on to some new information, or newer information. I won't say new information, just newer information, right? So this is one. This is, again, an opinion. I want to make sure that I point that out because, we want everybody to start getting in the habit, especially for this case, and saying their opinion, because we can't have factual stuff go out there if it's not factual, because in reality, people's lives are on the line when it comes to this case. I truly believe this was gang retaliation, cartel, something. This was something. People say, well, if it was the cartel, they would never have found them unless they wanted them to find them. Remember, the sister-in-law received the tip to locate them. We can't forget that. Good morning, love it. Good morning, Kat in the chat. Nice to see you. JB's mama. Nice to see you, love. So the opinion says, I keep hearing everyone put onus on Matthew for the way he made money and making Savanah out to be this perfect angel who was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And that may very well be the case, but I have a different perspective. One of my good friends was pregnant relatively young by a drug dealer in our town. She complained and complained until he agreed to quit selling drugs and to get a real job. But when he did, it was never enough for her. She liked that when he was dealing, she could get new clothes for her and her kid, get her hair done, get her nails done, stay at home with the kid, etc. He went back and forth from dealing to working full time for years, but nothing was good enough for her. When he was working, he wasn't making enough money. When he was dealing, he was just a hood rat. People are layered and complicated. Let's not paint one person to be the bad guy or the other person as the saint. Everyone has good and bad qualities. The only pure soul was the poor, sweet baby that didn't deserve any of this. I just wanted to give a little food for thought. And I have to say, that does make sense as well. Us as females, we have, certain needs, hair and nails sometimes, and people, I think what it happens, like for me, I've had money, I've been broke, I've been all over the place, right? I went from the top down to the bottom, somewhere in the middle, so I've been all over the place. A lot of these people in these areas come from nothing. They've never had money before. They've never been able to go out and buy Nike shoes. They've never been able to go buy what they want. They've never been able to buy a car. They've never been able to do these things. They're from a family that in some of these cases, not in this particular case, I'm not using this as an example, and we see it all the time where mommy and daddy are in drugs, right? So you don't even have money coming in. Any money that is coming in is being spent on the habits of the parents. So the kids are being neglected. They're not able to get what they need. Many of them are wearing dirty clothes, dirty shoes. And then they have this person that comes in their life and starts throwing some money at them and tells them, here, go get yourself an outfit. Go get yourself some new shoes. You come to me. You have a problem. You come to me. I'm going to be your new daddy. And that's the gang life. And that's how they get them in this. And then they start sending them and giving them that money, and that money changes their life because they're finally able to feel like they can take care of themselves. They can buy the shoes that they want. They can go get that cut that they want, right? They can go buy that outfit, that they can go get their gold jewelry. They can go get their grill gold. They can go do all the things that they've never had money to do before because they've never had it. They've never had it like that. So now they're excited. This is new. They're hard. They've got all this money. They flaunt it. They flash it. Why do they flaunt it and flash it? I can promise you, rich people don't flaunt their wealth. Okay. Rich people, ultra rich people, you can't help but to flaunt your wealth because you live in mega mansions. But for normal wealthy people that have a few $1 million, or several $1 million in a retirement account, they drive the Volkswagen Jetta and live in the modest home. You don't hear them sitting there bragging, oh, you know what? I got $15 million sitting in my retirement account. What about you there, buddy? Because people that have money don't need to brag about money. The only people that have to brag about money are the ones that don't have it. That's my opinion. So getting back to the Guerra case, now we have all of our opinions and our emotions out on this case in the first segment of the show. Now let's get into more of the weeds of the show. Let's start looking at, say, maps and getting a perspective of where everything is and what happened. Open this up so I can see what I'm doing on my end. So it shows you the main building with the camera and the street. You have a purple arrow showing ways in within the car from behind the building, all lead the same way. And that's Danny Kane. I don't know what Danny Kane. Oh, Danny Kane Drive. The main road is in yellow. I wish I could blow it up a little bit better. I'll have to put it up on my Facebook group. And so you have a really good idea of the area, and it says, it shows the building number It shows the houses with ADT and security systems. It shows the house with doorbells. Actually, let me go ahead and put this in for people to, if they want to preview this and go over the maps, they can. Hold on a second. There you go. And then we get down to the third, and it's still going through the surveillance cameras on the houses, on the buildings, on the street poles. So it looks like there's a lot of cameras. Oh, I like this one. Hold on, let me show this. I can blow this one up. Hold on a second. Let me show this one here. Okay. Oops. Did I go too far? I think I did go too far. Hold on a second. Sorry, I'm trying to find the spot I was looking for. There we go. It's possible it could have been a sloppy hit because why isn't this showing? Hold on a second. There we go. There we go. It's this right here. You know, these have cameras on them on the houses right here. Literally on the roofs of the apartments, you got cameras here. So there's a lot, and I mean a lot of cameras in and around this apartment complex. Ring doorbell cameras. So we've got a lot of cameras. We definitely know. I think that's the point, and even the traffic cameras. This place was heavily photographed and videographed. Now that they have that location where their bodies were found, they have that initial video footage that they released to us. They have now, and I guarantee with those traffic cameras and stuff, we've got technology in this country people don't. That's how they were able to track Brian Coburger so well. It's these CCTV footage videos that our government pays and places everywhere for our safety. They say it's for traffic control and, you know, monitoring situations. It has reduced a lot of risk to law enforcement. They're not having to travel so much. If there's a jam up on the interstate, they're able to open up a camera, see what the problem is, and send out medical help as needed. In San Antonio, obviously, they've got a lot of stuff that we have here in Florida. I'm looking at them. The traffic cameras look about the same. The cameras on the buildings look about the same. So it seems like people take security very seriously in San Antonio and in Leon Valley. It's a much different from what we see, say, in Kingsport, Tennessee, where you can literally go to 15 different shopping plazas and not see one camera in the parking lot. Not one in Kingsport, Tennessee. It's hard. It's easier to list the properties that have cameras than it is to list all the properties that don't. Here in Manatee County, it's a little bit different. It's easier to list all the places that don't have the cameras than do, because we got cameras everywhere, right? And it looks like that's the same in San Antonio or in the Leon Valley, wherever all this stuff here took place. I don't know, you know, I'm not from Texas, so I'm speculating, you know, the location. We know it's San Antonio, we know Leon Valley, but I'm speculating where these photos are taken from. So that's really it. And then lastly, okay, yeah, now we're getting back into body typing. Okay, I've been focusing heavily on this body, and it's going to bring me to this. We see how big, I mean, just from this angle, you can see how extremely large this man is, shoulder to shoulder, from this angle. This is a very, very large man. From shoulder to shoulder. Large. I mean, morbidly obese large. This guy is a very big guy. Short and big. There is a line from ass to belly. So not only is he wide, like we see here, he's also wide this way, side view. So we got a huge guy. And so I did some AI images. And this, to get this imaging, I had to put in 600 to 800 pounds. Now, obviously, this is AI. I was trying to get a specific image. We have determined this guy is not 600 to 800 pounds. Here's another rendering of a more fit, heavy-set guy. And here's one more flabby. And this is the type of belly that we saw pop out from under the shirt. Okay? So I'm still on the realm of trying to determine what kind of person, what is the weight of the person? And so I started reviewing body types. This is a person that's 400 pounds. Okay, so this is a 400-pound person that you're looking at right here. However, this 400-pound person is a bodybuilder. As you can see him lifting those heavy weights behind him with the spotter. But this is what a 400-pound man looks like. And so I'm very curious about this because I'm really trying hard to find the body shape and size of this man so we can try to determine how chubby his face would look. What side angle. We're not looking at the facial features. We're not looking at the eyes, the nose, and the lips, or the ears or anything like that. We're just looking for the chubbiness of the cheeks, the roundness of the face at that size, the hanging of the belly at that size. We're just trying to find some additional information. And then I came across this. Yeah. Okay. So this is where we're going to start with this one here. And I'm going to stop it. This man here was about 800 pounds. Actually, I think in that photo, he's about 600 pounds. But he was originally 800 pounds. So since it was 600 to 800, hey, Lori Lowe, nice to see you, love. I hope you're doing well. Happy New Year. So I just wanted you guys to see this because I thought, again, it's important to get a good idea about the body size, the shape, the weight, everything.
Throughout my life, I've struggled with my weight. As a kid, I would eat a lot of processed foods, and as I got older, I started drinking. The more I ate and drank, the more weight I tacked on. I remember sleeping 10 to 11 hours a day, eating, and then going right back to sleep. By age 33, I weighed 390 pounds. I thought about trying to lose weight, but the stresses from work and overeating kept me from achieving that. As time went on, I stopped leaving the house. I would stay inside all day, too embarrassed to go outside. In 2011, my health took a turn. Suffering from sleep apnea, I woke.
So there he is right there at 831 pounds. Okay, 831 pounds. Now, the difference between, and this is another thing, is the fat deposits and fat accumulation. So fat deposits and fat accumulation differ from individual to individual. We only have so many places we can store fat. But I know you all have friends, girlfriends, guy friends, and we all seem to carry weight in a different way, right? Our fat deposits and accumulation are on different spots on us. For example, a lot of his weight is in his legs and thighs. He's got the cankles. This other guy does not. It didn't appear. I mean, he's got wide legs, he's got fatty legs. I could see the fatty legs on the guy getting out of the truck, but it seemed like his legs tapered down. It didn't seem like they stayed, really big at the ankle, but we don't know. We can't see. But I wanted to show you that a person of 800 pounds, we don't know what this guy's size is. I don't think he's the guy that we saw getting out of the truck is this big. I don't think this is 831 pounds. And his legs, his thighs alone are the size of my body. Okay. This guy's legs alone are literally the size of my waist. And actually might even be bigger than my waist.
Woke up one morning with a fever, and the sores on my legs were hurting me badly. Finally, my doctor told me if I didn't get myself to a hospital, I would die. When I finally made it to the hospital, I thought I weighed roughly 600 pounds. Instead, I weighed in at 831 pounds, had lymphedema, and was borderline diabetic.
Sorry, I want to go back to
one. My doctor told me if I didn't get myself to a hospital, I would die. When I finally made it to the hospital, I thought I weighed roughly 600 pounds. Instead, I weighed in at 831 pounds.
Okay, that's where I needed to stop it. Let me go back just a tad bit. There we go. So let me go back to Yes, put this up on there. So I think that this guy is much wider. This guy here is much wider. But you see the angle from the truck. You may have to put this on a big screen and you may have to zoom into that guy. But you see his belly from this front view and how wide he is from shoulder. This is the closest we can get for a shoulder to shoulder width of the guy in the truck. I do not believe he's this big, but he's pretty wide. Let's keep going.
At 831 pounds, had lymphedema, and was borderline diabetic. I couldn't believe it. Everything hit me at that moment. How bad I let myself go, how I never put my health first, everything was falling apart. When I got home, I knew I had to make some changes.
So he made some changes. He dieted. He had some lap band surgery. Again, I don't know when all this stuff takes place, because these are photos and obviously he's already lost a lot of weight. So he's showing past, but this was when he was about between 400 and 600 pounds here working. So this is kind of more in line with what I saw getting out of the truck. Yeah. So that's really what I'm trying to just really, because I had misinformed because of the AI, I had to put 600 to 800 to get those effects on those bodies. And so I was like, oh my God, this guy's going to be huge. And then when I was looking at the height, like I was basing it upon a 5'11" height. And I don't think the guy getting out of the truck is 5'11". And the reason why I don't think he's 5'11" is because he barely comes down to his window on his truck. His head just comes right above the window on his truck, right about where his his side window would be. If you look at his height next to the door handle on his truck, which is what's making me believe that this truck is lifted either 6 to 12 inches as well, which is causing major problems with the, the height. Because if this truck is a standard truck, that'll tell us one thing. If this truck is lifted 6 inches to a foot, we're going to be off on his height 6 inches to a foot. He's like 5'3". That's what I'm thinking. He looks, he might be like 5'5", I would think 5'5" to 5'7", but definitely not 5'11" to 6 foot. So again, so my mathematics and my weight and stuff were off based upon that. But I'm just thankful we got some renderings. Again, we were able to at least generate something out of it that was able to give us some idea about the size of this guy. I actually, believe it or not, as crazy as it sounds, I have a funny feeling when we see the guy face to face, he's going to resemble this guy here more so than anything. I don't know why, but I keep looking at that video and I swear that this guy, his head literally sits on his neck or on his shoulders. He has no neck. His face is so full that you don't even see his neck. It literally looks like his neck is sitting on his shoulders. I've looked at the video over and over and over again. It looks like the head is just literally on top of his boobs. So Woody Wood says when he gets back in the truck, he's standing on the step rail. And he's not as tall as the Chevy truck door. Right. Yeah. He comes up to right about where the window, let me just go back to that. Maybe you guys can see it. You might have to get it on your, you see him right there on the where he is, where his head's lined up with his door. Where his head's lined up with the door. I bet he's on a crash diet right now. Yeah, so possibly. So some people are saying about 5'3", 5'4". It's possible. I'm really, really horrible with height and weight. If you guys haven't noticed, that's one thing I am really, really bad about. I'm not good with height and weight. I'm not good with direction. If I don't have a compass or something like that, I get lost. Maybe 5, yeah. Woody, I noticed that too, along with the back tire as well. There was somebody that sent me a picture where they thought that they saw when they were pulling in, that they thought they saw some other lights almost reflecting on that car door. almost implying that somebody was behind them in a different vehicle, another vehicle, a third vehicle. I haven't heard anything about this third vehicle, but I did look at the photo, and I can't tell if it's lights from the house behind them reflecting on the car door, or if it's lights in the parking lot reflecting on that car door, or if it's truly, in fact, a third car. I tried to look at it and am unable to determine it. And if there really is a third car, law enforcement may be keeping that from the public since it wasn't in this clip of the video. It's just another piece of information that they have that only the killers would know. And we want that. That's what law enforcement's looking for. They're wanting to keep as many details that only the killers would know in their back pocket. They don't want anybody. And why do they do this? Because it is my understanding the reason why they do this is because there are people that are mentally unstable and confess to crimes. I don't know why, but there are just some people that confess to crimes, murders. Like they want to go to jail for murder. I don't understand it, but apparently it's not an uncommon thing. Shocker. Right? Shocker. Like I'm kind of a little dumbfounded here that, yeah, anyways, I digress. What else I won? Oh, the DA. The DA speaks out. He spoke out a couple days ago, but nobody, at least that I knew, brought it to the attention of social media. I truly believe, and this is, again, dovetailing on the back of Jennifer Coffindaffer's post, there's going to be an arrest made in this case soon. I truly believe there's going to be an arrest in this case very, very soon. Let's listen to what the DA has to say. Might have commercial. Yeah, let me just get past this.
It was a week ago today we first reported about a missing pregnant teen and her boyfriend. And now police are searching for whoever's responsible for killing Savanah Soto, her unborn baby, and Matthew Guerra.
KENS 5 reporter Megan Reyna spoke with the district attorney about what punishment could come with this capital murder case.
District Attorney Joe Gonzalez says this is a capital murder investigation because it involves multiple victims, including an unborn baby. That means a suspect or suspects could face life in prison without parole or the death penalty. He says it's
so this is, they're in the talks right now about whether this is going to be a death penalty case. Before I turn it over to the DA, he has not made a determination in this video. For me, I believe this rises to the death penalty in the state of Texas. And I believe that, and I like this, the prosecutor, because he doesn't seem overzealous. I always, when I deal with prosecutors or anybody representing the state, I always look to find out what their record is. And are they an overzealous prosecutor? Are they trying to make bones off of people's lives? You know what I'm saying? So I look at those things. I'm cognizant of those things. I am cognizant that attorneys want to be the pit bull, so they get those mega, they get the mega cases, right? So they do that because in a prosecutor, being a prosecutor or a defense attorney for the state, a public defender, it gives you a lot of experiences with a lot of different cases. It's why, a lot of ER nurses, a lot of nurses start in the ER. It gives you a whole lot of experience with a lot of different injuries and situations. That's the same way with an attorney that's trying to learn, because when you get out of college, you got a certificate. Trust me, half the crap you learned in college, you forget the minute you get that certificate. You study, and you forget. Okay. Law is on the job training. Yeah, you need guidance. That's why we have to go to school. But it really is a lot of on the job training. They give you enough so you don't get yourself in too much trouble, and everything else is your integrity, your respect for the law, and doing a good job. In the process, everybody wants to be that ultra wealthy attorney that does good for his clients and gets his clients off the stuff. And they start in the prosecutor's office or in the public defender's office and make a reputation for themselves and then go into private practice. It's It's a good system that has worked for many attorneys. That's kind of the process. It's how it works, right? Not everybody does it that way. Not everybody does it that way that's coming out of law school. But in fairness, if you want to be in criminal law, then yes, you need to have as much experience in every different type of criminal law possible, and how to defend it or how to prosecute it. If you know how to prosecute a case, you know how to defend a case. Because what's the prosecution's case? Learning what the defense case is and trying to stop it, right? And trying to poke holes in it, and vice versa. That's what the job is of the defense. So I like this guy because he doesn't seem overzealous in his prosecution, especially for the death penalty in Texas. Okay, Texas is a death penalty state like Florida, so we don't want to abuse that process.
It's just too soon to say if his office will seek the death penalty, but he believes police will make an arrest soon.
In the event that happens, certainly that is something that we would potentially consider.
Gonzalez says his office has a capital crimes committee that votes on whether to seek the death penalty in certain cases. Since Gonzalez has been in office, he's prosecuted more than 100 capital murder cases.
We've only made the election to seek death twice in my office during my administration.
So that's what I like to hear. Somebody that takes DP seriously. This is not the case for every single case. Now, with 100 capital murder cases and only 2 recommendations for the death penalty is a little concerning for me. He's been in office for about 5 years. And in the 5 years, he's had over 100 death penalty cases. That's a lot of freaking death penalty cases, or capital, excuse me, not death penalty cases, capital murder cases in an area. 100 in 5 years. 100 in 5 years, folks. Capital murder cases, 105 years. That's 20 a freaking year for one community. 20 deaths. And this is not unique or immune to this community. Do we even have a clue how many people are dying on the daily from all this stuff? From drugs and violence and gangs? This is just one community, and we know that this community is not different or unique. Crap, like a light bulb just went off on my head, and it's sickening. I'd like our government to tell us how many people every single day are dying from gang violence. We have it for the drugs, right? We have it for COVID, good God. Even all the fake numbers they produce, we have all those, but we can't get how many people are dying from gang violence in our country? Interesting. Maybe there is something. I have to look. Oh, I'm hitting the wrong button. There we go.
One of which we resolved before it went to trial.
The one that went to trial was a case of Otis McCain. He murdered San Antonio Police Detective Benjamin Marconi in 2016.
I remember
We
that.
had discussions about.
I remember this case. I remember that man's face. I remember this case.
Obviously, how egregious a case is, what makes this a capital murder case. Other issues, for example, is whether or not this defendant is a continuing threat to society. Because
he says they also consider.
I can say whoever did this crime here will definitely be a continuous threat to society. Anybody that can put a gun to that girl's head right there, as pregnant as she was, and pull a trigger without batting a freaking eye, does not need to walk among us. Period. Does not need to be here, does not need to be free, and definitely does not need to be thy neighbor that any of us could be living next to. I'm sorry. Whoever did this, I don't see them changing at all. I think that this particular matter is definitely a great, of great public concern, great public safety. Let's put this in perspective. We here are normal people. At least most of us are normal people. Even some of us that are a little nutty, right? We're still normal in the grand scheme of things. Think about how brazen it takes. Now, many of you guys probably don't even know the sound of a gun. Probably have never heard a shot outside of TV. Probably don't know how extremely loud a gunshot is when you're standing next to it. It is deafening. It is ear-deafening, ear-ringing sounds. So I want you to think of a person that can take something like that and put it up to a Now remember, contact wound. That means this here was against this here. You walk up to them, you put the gun to them, and you blow their freaking head off. That is somebody that does not need to walk among us. This was a very pregnant woman that was about to give birth to her child within hours. Hours. And she was executed. Anybody that has that ability deserves the death penalty. I don't care who you are. You could be the freaking Pope for all I care. If you have that in you to be able to do that, you have just earned your right to that lethal injection, in my opinion. You earned it. You made your bones. Now it's time to pony up those bones because it's time for the bone collector to collect yours. My opinion.
Consider the family's wishes.
We're going to do, I've said this before, we're going to do everything possible to ensure that these individuals, when they're caught, and I'm confident that they will be caught and charged with capital murder, that we hold them accountable and that we do everything to bring justice to the memory of both Savanah Soto and Matthew Guerra.
Gonzalez is just urging anyone with information to reach out to SAPD. We have that number on our website, kins5.com.
Anybody, obviously, with any information related to this case, direct information, direct evidence, we are going to tell our audience, anybody that has that direct evidence and contact, to reach out to law enforcement with whatever evidence or information that they have. If you are an outsider, do not live in this area, you do not know any of these players, unfortunately, I can promise you, as helpful as you are, the information you possess is not going to do anything for law enforcement. So just keep it to yourself, put it in the chats. We know law enforcement is monitoring social media. So go over to the Savanah Soto discussion groups and put your information there. If you truly feel that you feel that the information is that important, but you don't possess knowing them, physical evidence or actual firsthand information. So just put that in the Facebook chats. I promise you, law enforcement are monitoring those. Okay, I promise you they are. You don't need to call in. Just go to that chat and plug your stuff in. Where was I going? I had a point here. I've got this 14 million, the number of guns Americans bought in 2020. Well, guns, and I'm not talking about gun sales. Gun sales are gun sales. I have no problem with guns. I've got no problem with guns. I got no problem people possessing guns, but you have to understand, a lot of people that are anti-gun live in cities. There is so much more out there than cities. There are people that live in desolate areas that take 45 minutes to get any kind of first responders or law enforcement there, that live next to bears, coyotes, and everything else. The guns, and not only that, sport shooting. The guns are not the issue. The guns I don't have the problem with. It's people that aren't supposed to have the guns that I have problems with. Because let's face it, what are criminals? Criminals are people that do not follow our laws. What are upstanding citizens? People that do follow the law, right? So you're trying to take guns away from law-abiding citizens because of the criminals, which will always get the guns in their hands because they got the guns in their hands now, and many of them can't go to a gun store to get them. So you see where I'm coming? At some point, only the bad guys are going to be the ones with the weapons if we keep trying to take weapons away from upstanding citizens of this United States of America. So it's not the gun sales that really bother me. It's the violence. It's the violence. It's the gang violence. It's a specific type of violence. It's not gun violence I'm looking at. I'm looking at gang violence, because we may have 14 million guns sold, but we definitely do not have 14 million deaths attributed to those guns. So it implies that there's a lot of upstanding citizens purchasing guns in this very crazy world that we now call the United States of America. Just a little food for thought. My opinion only. My opinion only. I know some people don't agree with it, but we don't all have to agree on every single detail. It's the collective view. And if you really hate guns that much, you know what I'm going to tell you, right? I'm going to tell you that that's your right. Get up and go make a difference. If you are that passionate about having no guns in your community, it is your responsibility to get into those meetings and have your voice heard. Have your voice heard. I'm all about it. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. I'm all about you being an advocate for your cause, no matter what that cause is, because it's talking about inspiring people. I didn't say I'm here to inspire a cause. Right? We're not here to inspire a cause. We're here to get people up off their butt and out there doing stuff good for their community. That's what we're all about. We don't care if you're right, left, pink with green polka dots. We don't care. What we care about is what's in your heart and in your mind, and giving you the empowerment to get out there and put yourself out there and start advocating for your beliefs. It only takes once, right? And then you get bitten. You go in there and you're like, hey, you know what? Wasn't that bad? They actually took what I said and responded. And you're like, somebody just heard my voice. And then you go back and you start pushing a little bit more. And then you start saying, hey, you know what? My community needs this. Oh, my community needs that. Next thing you know, you're at your damn meetings every week saying, hey, we need stuff done. Give me your book so we can find out how to pay for it. It's kind of how it works. So that's really all I have. I'm going to go ahead and open up the phone lines just for a little bit, just to see if there's anybody that has any additional perspective on the situation. Do you have something that we haven't discussed yet? This is really to inform our audience. We're here to inform our audience, to get our audience as much information, because you guys are the ones out there. You guys are the ones that are driving around. You're the ones out in these communities and in these areas. And you're really a lot of eyes and ears across this country when things like this come up. You guys, when we say, hey, we're looking for a white Hyundai Elantra, right? You guys go out and start emailing 50 different white Hyundai Elantras to me, don't you? So we need to find a big guy in a truck out in Texas, like a dime a dozen, a needle in the haystack. Can you guys help, right? Can you guys help? So we've got the phone up right now. If anybody has any questions, if you have any statements, I'd really like to keep it to our topics of Soto, but I know we did talk about a couple other things on here. We talked about Japan and we talked about Brian Coburger. So if you do have comments on those as well, that it was part of the show. So you're more than welcome to call in with your comments on that. I didn't hear you notice the person in the car trying to get out and get man pushing him back in. Actually, it was a female. We blew it up. I could see a female's face. I can't make out her face, but I could see a female's face with long hair in a ponytail. People were trying to say that she had a hoodie over her head. And I said, no, she didn't. I could see her ponytail clear as day when I blew it up. I couldn't make out her face, but you could just see it. It was just the glistening of the light hitting her hair. Sharon, oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Hopefully it's beneficial. We're just trying to find out who did this. I really truly believe this is going to be a Rachel Morin case. I believe that they've got the guy that killed Rachel Morin. I think they've got him on unrelated charges, because I haven't heard any new information coming on about that case, and that has to be one of the biggest cases Bel Air, Maryland has at the moment. And they're not screaming from the rooftops, still demanding to look for the man that was responsible for her death. Yet there's no arrest made in her case yet. So I really believe they have him arrested on unrelated charges. These are gang members. I'm pretty sure that if law enforcement wants to, go for low-hanging fruit, there's probably a lot of it to be had, where they can be picking them up on drug charge. Maybe we need to start looking. Maybe somebody wants to do a run. What are the typical charges that they charge people with for low-hanging fruit? So they go back in their history to find out if they've had any kind of domestic relations that they haven't been arrested for. So that would be one. So we need to look. We need to be going through these arrests that recently were arrested in Bexar County. We need to start looking and seeing if any of them have been arrested for drug charges, or any of them have been arrested for domestic charges of some sort, or some type of assault. prior assault charge. That's really what we're looking for, because those are typically the charges that they try to get them in on. They find some stupid charge that they can pin on them, so they have probable cause to arrest them, but it's not related to the case. So maybe go back in there and start looking at those recent arrests from about the I don't know, about the 26th, 25th through today. Really, the 26th through today. Look at ages and look at charges. But I have a funny feeling, for whatever reason, if the person's not arrested yet, they're going to be. But I feel like they've got to have some people in jail right now on unrelated charges, because they have to apply some type of pressure here. And you're talking about a bunch of gang members that aren't going to open their mouth unless they're required to open their mouth. Oh, let me get the phone number up. I guess it would help. There you go. Let's see what else we've got here. Could be a guy with a do-rag. Yeah, possibly. Sorry, came in late. That's okay, Lori Lowe. You're good. San Antonio is full of heavy-set Hispanics. Lived here 37 years. Yeah, exactly. Like I said, in not just San Antonio, just Texas in general. Like 90% of Texans have pickup trucks. And 90% of Texans love a lot of barbecue. Okay. They're pretty healthy. They're pretty healthy in the beef state, right? Texas Longhorns, right? They will be caught. I do believe that they will be caught. I think we've kind of covered this case as much. Like I said, I'm going to be covering some details as details come up, or something that I can at least educate you guys on with this case. I will continue to cover it. When the stuff stops, the stuff stops. We're only going to be waiting here until breaking news happens on this. I really don't just drag this case out, especially knowing people's lives are in jeopardy. Hey, it's me too. How are you doing, love?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I ended up watching the Police Off the Cuff, like you told me. I watched the whole thing. It was pretty good. And I agree with what he said, that they already know who it is.
Yeah.
And they already have that truck license,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they already have that. But L'Oreal beat me too, because I was going to call you in and talk about my first impression when I seen the car and the truck approach. And almost at first I thought maybe it might have been Savannah, until I realized that they've already passed. But it did look like almost like a little, like that guy almost took the car door and wanted to slam it back in. Because I think it's a girl too. Also, I think that's gonna be their downfall. I think that when that girl got out, if you notice, she looks to the back of the vehicle. I don't know if they were expecting another car to come around, or if she was looking to see if there was another car. But I think I got the kind of impression like she's like, okay, I did my part. I'm out of here. You guys take the car and go. And he did. And when I was watching Duty Round last night, I don't know if that's L'Oreal seen it, but he did mention that that guy pushed her back in the car. I'm like, oh, see, and then I thought what I was thinking in the beginning. I'm like, yeah, see, I thought the same thing. I didn't realize, about him pushing her. But to me, it almost looked like a battle of the with the door, the very first seconds. When that car pulls up, the driver's already opening that car door before it's at a full stop. So I think that's going to be, the one that's going to fold. And I know you think otherwise, but I'm still getting the impression that truck was just there after the fact. I don't know if I know you don't. I know.
It on here. They can't hear me.
So
So
they didn't have to hear that we disagreed.
Yeah. Because I believe that guy there, he's a big guy. He's got the big truck. He reminds me of like he doesn't remind me of a low level guy. He to me, the way his mannerism was, the way he was acting, the way he was kind of controlling that scene, wiping things down, taking the initiative. He seems like the brains of the operation, if you ask me.
I think so, yeah. I just got the feeling the other way. I just don't understand if they were following each other, why they came in at separate ways and stopped there and then moved the car 200 more feet.
It might be just as simple as the girl that was driving the car made the wrong turn and had to come into the second driveway.
Yeah, could have been. We'll
Because
have to wait and
remember,
see.
she
But I know
actually turned her blinker on when she was in the
yeah,
parking lot. I mean, she's like, you could tell whoever was in that car had to have been nervous.
right. And you got to remember too. I mean, she's in that car, and he was unalived in the front seat. She's gonna have stuff all. I'm not saying covered because I don't even know. We don't know what kind of caliber or anything that was used, and it's very likely that the bullet could still be inside. The
Oh,
body.
they've got the casings. I guarantee the
Casings.
casings are because they've got the casings in there. I guarantee if they hit him in the head, that bullet probably didn't make it all the way through. It's probably still somewhere in her body.
That's what I'm thinking because you look at the car, you don't see a lot of splat, you don't see any holes.
And you don't see any exits from the car either.
No, so that's what I'm thinking too, and so that's what I was thinking. But I did watch. They had the vigil for Matthew. I had mentioned on one of your other lives when I called in that out of all of them that are involved as far as family, they found the father and the stepmother to be more on the better side of it, if you want to put it that way, more realistic,
Yeah.
And the father he has mentioned that when he was in jail for beating her, he begged him to keep his son in jail. He didn't want him out. He wanted him to stay in there longer.
Yeah.
And it was Savanah that,
That's what he
didn't agree with
says.
it.
I'm sorry. I don't
You don't believe it?
I don't believe any of them at this point. Like, you got to show me some receipts because at this point,
Yeah.
I don't believe. I believe everybody's covering their ass at this point. This has kind of got
Right.
larger than they didn't want people in their business. They didn't want them knowing that they were drug dealers. They didn't want them knowing that they were in gangs. All that's now been
Right.
exposed. Their faces are plastered all over this country, around the world. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
think they
true.
were expecting this, but I don't believe damn.
No. Because it seems like if you want to believe what they're saying, that they tried to sway him out of what he was
Yeah.
doing, but
And it's not that I don't believe them because it's just because everybody is trying. They're in a pickle. They've got
right.
They're in a bad game. This drug game, and they've got two deceased drug dealers basically.
Right.
So they had to make decisions to salvage their
Right.
family, and I get that. But at the end of the day, it is what it is.
Yeah, he also said that he did talk to the detectives. He said he's only talked to them once, but the detectives told him that they're waiting on warrants for the the surveillance stuff, and they're going through all the videos. So they know who these people are.
I bet you they have they've got the driving. I guarantee they probably see where they turned right out into the road. They've got a lot of cameras there. I didn't realize how many cameras they got, but they've got a lot.
Well, there was one, I don't know who it was, one creator that had actually gone out there, and just outside the building where they, the parking lot where they left them, there was 7 cameras just outside going in and out. So, they're just trying to, cross the T's and dot their I's, and, and what they'll do is once they, have, enough evidence, they'll bring somebody in and they're gonna see who's gonna fold and who's gonna take the deal.
Yeah,
I believe it's gonna be that drive because I do believe it's.
If they can find that girl,
too.
that girl's going to break. The females break the quickest because they're the ones that have children. Typically, they don't want to be taken away from their kids. They already know they're going to be jammed up. They're just ready to make a deal to get themselves in and out as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, women are the weakest link. Sometimes women are stronger than men. Sometimes it's the man that's the weakest link. But with him pushing her around and knowing the gang lifestyle and stuff like that, typically the girls are property versus members. There are some female gang members, but typically they're usually the girls of the guys.
Right. When you watch the video, she popped right out, and I'm like, and then the first thought that I did is like, why did she get out of the car? And it was so quick, I'm like,
I think that he could wipe something down or something like that, maybe to see that it was done or that they're gone. I don't know.
Yeah, 'cause I found that very odd. Because she got out, what was it, seconds, a couple of seconds, and she was back in that car. But if you look at it, she looks to the back, where she pulled in. Maybe just seeing if anyone was coming. You could see out of all of them, she seemed the most nervous,
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the ones that will speak,
Yeah, she's going to break.
And
If they can find
you'd be
who
surprised,
she is.
they act like hardened criminals. You know what I mean? And how many times are you watching courtrooms and, they get sentenced and they break down crying?
This is the one thing that I foresee not making a quick arrest, and that's if nobody's talking to police and they've got to wait for the forensics to come back, because the
Right.
forensics is still going to take, even at rush, is still going to take a couple weeks to get processed.
Right. They're gonna make sure they get it done right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know that's what that police had to, mentioned to the father.
Mm-hmm.
And then it broke my heart because the father, they're hiring, they're trying to hire photographer to take stillborn pictures. You know, when people they take stillborn pictures, very popular now. And
Yeah.
a child, and I guess
Because
he
it's your
wants to get pictures
child.
of
It's
grandbaby.
yeah. And it's a sad situation, but it doesn't change the fact that that was your child and you gave birth to your child. You never want to forget that.
And then
I kept my pregnancy test for my ectopic pregnancy. I still have it.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a lot of mementos of my kids when they were born. But I just wonder, people think, the baby wasn't born yet, but that baby had to have suffered, I would think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What does a baby go through at that point, when
Well, my
all of a sudden
mom,
there's
my
no-
mom described it as this, which is it, for anybody that's sensitive to this topic, you might want to just mute for a second. But my mom
Yeah,
said
sorry, I should have
the
mentioned it.
the baby probably drowned.
Yeah, I was wondering. Maybe I should have mentioned it. I'm sorry. But I mean that's they gotta take that baby's life into account too. You know what I mean?
And the
That
suffering
baby
that
could have
that child went through, because let's face it, this was a full-grown child. This child could feel,
exactly.
see, touch, breathe. This was a full-term child.
Yeah, overdue. I mean, they don't usually let people go that far in pregnancies.
I was a 10-month baby. Back in the day, they let you carry until they were ready to come out.
Uh, yeah. Back in the day, I guess I was. Yeah, actually, I was late.
That was about 44, 45 years ago, if I had to guess, just to throw that out there.
Oh God.
All right.
But anyway, yeah, it's just a couple of things. I was going to mention that L'Oreal, but since I wasn't going to call in, I'll call in anyway.
Well, I appreciate it, because we've been talking about this behind the scenes anyways, and people don't get to hear our conversations when they're behind the scenes. So at least this gives people perspective. And everybody always says, and there's been a lot of stuff in this case that you and I have not seen eye to eye on, but we still throw stuff against the wall to see what sticks on both sides.
Well, I'll never forget when we went out for lunch one time. It wasn't our first lunch. It was maybe, the third or fourth one. I think it's when we went to Glenn County or something. And you sat down and you told me, always be honest with me. If you don't agree with my thing, tell me the way you feel. That's how I like things. And, that's what I do,
Yeah.
So, and it's still, we go back and forth. And like, you with, you're stuck. I don't think you're so stuck on it now, but I think you're still somewhat. The house
Well, I'm
thing,
one of these things that when I make a theory, it has to be disproven before I move on from it, and so like even with Annalisa, that was the first names that we heard in the case. So I followed that through, and yeah, at the beginning, everything pointed toward them. But as more information started coming out, it started painting a different type of picture. And then I started looking at the body size, and I started looking at her stepdad, and I'm like, wait a minute. This doesn't fit. And I started looking at her height compared to the girl that was getting out of the car. I'm like, wait a minute, this doesn't fit. So then you start disproving it. You have this process of disproving your theory. And so now I'm able to move that theory to the side. I haven't removed it completely off because they haven't been cleared. And we don't know if they hired these people. So they're just on the bottom of the list as opposed to the top of the list. Now that what's at the top of the list is what everybody else has got at the top of the list. This violence, this gang, drugs, and their lifestyle is what probably happened here.
True. I mean, there's so many cases you say, why would they do that? In this case, there's like many reasons, that this could have happened.
Yeah.
But the house, I know you always think that they got taken from the house, and I'm not like 100% against that. And that's still up in my head too. But I was just watching last night, it dawned back on me that they were the fight happened Friday night, the screams and everything, but they weren't supposedly, now, eyewitness is not always the most accurate.
And
But
they get their
the
days
eyewitness,
wrong.
what is it?
I said they also get their days wrong. When you're asked
Yeah.
4 or 5 days later, you're like, oh, you know what? I did hear that scream. And you know what? It was Monday night. And then you kind of look
Right.
back and you realize, oh, wait a minute. It was Sunday night or it was Thursday night, but yeah. So people's memories can be skewed as well.
Yeah, because they say that the scream was on, according to that, whoever that witness is, was on Friday night, but they were seen leaving the next morning in that Cadillac, which I still haven't heard much about the Cadillac. So I don't know if I'm buying the Cadillac thing. I don't see how that would have worked out.
I had this,
But,
outside of that one person making the statement about the Cadillac, I've never heard about the Cadillac before or after, which is
No, me neither. And the thing is, what would they do? Just, hang out in the apartment all night and leave the next morning when
yeah, it
it's
doesn't make
daylight?
sense. Yeah.
No, it doesn't make sense. But hopefully, like I said, I think these guys are still around. I don't think they took off.
I think they were still around until they realized the video was up. I think that the video itself would probably change their determination on whether to stay or whether to go. At one point they were clean as a whistle. Nobody knew anything. They were still searching for him. But once the car was found and that video was released, the person's probably like, oh shit, we were on camera. We need to stay up out of Dodge.
But then they take off all of a sudden, and that's suspicious right there.
Well, it doesn't matter because their arrest is imminent.
Yeah, true. That's true.
Yeah.
We'll just have to wait and see. I mean, I don't, I'd rather them take their time and get everything right, and
Me too, but I also don't. The other part of that is these people just killed a pregnant teen, and that's dangerous to me. And when it comes to the safety of people on the streets or otherwise, I got to look at it like this: they have nothing to lose. They would be willing to take out anybody if they can take out an 18-year-old that's at full-term pregnancy. They can take out you. They will take out me. They don't have a problem shooting an officer. Anybody that can do this to a woman is a danger to our society.
Yeah, you're right. It's very, very dangerous. And I think this is the type of case that you might even see other people go down before this is even solved. It's just that type of environment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if they think maybe that, for instance, they think that girl's going to talk, she could be in danger. But she might
already be dead. I mean, she is a witness. She's a loose end.
Yeah, she might be smart to go in and get some, protection and, and stop talking.
We might find other bodies that wind up in this area. They might be tying up loose ends. We don't know who knows what and how many people know. But I can tell you that this is most likely going to be a DP case. And people's lives that took lives are now on the line. So they have nothing to lose. And I mean nothing.
It definitely calls for the DP, in this case,
Just the heinousness of it and knowing how ugly these people could be to another human being. Where's the value of life?
We've been talking since this case started and almost every day, back and forth. And this case, I haven't been able to sleep. It's just, I don't know. It's just, I just can't get out of the fear and
just keep talking. I gotta use the restroom. I'm sorry. I can't. I've been trying to wait here, but I can't wait any longer.
Go ahead. I don't want to be responsible for no accidents.
I thought you were going to continue talking. Oh, she got off the phone. I was telling her I needed to go to continue talking. I didn't know she got off the phone. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I was meaning for her to continue talking. Sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just telling you to continue talking while I went to the little girls' room so the audience didn't go, where did she go? This is what happens when you're drinking coffee at 3:00 in the morning. Okay. I mean, it's 8:30, right? It's 8:30 and then it's sorry. Yeah, it just happens. I'm going to drink some more coffee. We got 5 more hours to go, guys. We got 5 more hours to go before I have to do that again. Yeah, she knows she's, yeah. And I think the one thing that Karen and I, that really just gets to us, even though we don't agree on this or we don't agree on that, or, whatever, right? So, but the one thing her and I can't get off of is the fear that Savanah had to have gone through. And that those moments of her knowing that this was it, that to me, and the fear of this 18-year-old girl, because she looked older in those photos. Whenever she had her makeup on, she looked older. When she took her makeup off and we see her baby face, she's just a baby. Savanah was just a baby herself. And to think that young girl, I've been in a lot of tough pickles over my years, nothing like that. I mean, I have had a situation where there's been a knife. I was 15 years old when a knife was stuck up to my throat. I was 23 or 24 when I had a gun put up to my head. So, there are some tense moments, and even in my life that, like I said, there's a lot of things that people don't understand. And the fear that I had, and actually when the gun was put up to my head, I actually bit the tip of the gun and just said, take it, just do. At this point, my life was just, a mess. I'm glad he didn't, obviously. I'm here, but, I understand that, but I wasn't fearful at that moment. I was just over it. I really was. That was probably the lowest point in my life, but I was kind of just over it. And this woman she was waiting to expect her baby. She was excited. She was looking forward to tomorrow. And I just can't imagine the fear factor in her body, her mind, and her soul those minutes before she was gone. And I think that really is what makes it hard to sleep at night. Really. And when it comes to this case, just the heinousness and the brutality and the lack of caring for a human life, a baby, an innocent human life. You don't touch women. You don't touch children. I don't give a rat's ass what type of criminal enterprise you are. There are rules. There are codes of the street. And if you ain't following the code of the street, you deserve to be under it. Because even gang members know better than to touch women and children. You know why? Because it's the easiest way to get yourself executed, courtesy of whatever state you are in, unless you're in a dumbass state like California. That they don't even go and serve warrants anymore. That everybody in their state is literally at risk. I don't want a state like that. I like a law and order state. Kind of like Texas and kind of like Florida. But this right here, even gangs know better than to touch women and children. These are idiots. These are idiots, and they deserve the electrocution chair. They don't even deserve the courtesy of getting an injection. They deserve to have every single piece of energy zapped out of their body by energy. That's how I feel about it. I when it comes to kids, there's just an animalistic being in me that just comes out. You don't mess with kids. It's absolutely box of shameless. Demonic is the perfect word for it. Now, a lot of people have things to say, like what kind of life would it be with this child, coming up from this? We don't know. And I get it. We don't know. This child could have been another gang member executing somebody else in another 18 years for all we know. But you know what? This kid could have broke the chains for this family also. right? Because it always takes that one person in the family to change the direction of that family. We don't know what this beautiful boy would have done to that family. But I have to say, Fabian was an innocent little boy. And I guarantee whether we like it or like the people or like what they do in life, I can guarantee that little boy was going to be loved. I guarantee that little boy was going to be spoiled. I guarantee that little boy would have had more than his mommy and daddy had growing up. Might not have been done the right way. But who's to say that he wouldn't have been a good, upstanding member of society? He was never given a chance. The one weird thing about life, and I guess it goes back to old Forrest Gump, right? Old Forrest Gump. Life's like a box of chocolates, right? You never know what you're going to get till you bite in. Remember those days? Now they got the legend on the back of the boxes, so you know which one has caramel in it and not the orange cream, right? The strawberry cream, the coconut cream, all the creamed stuff we don't like. We like the chocolate stuff, good stuff. Life is like a box of chocolates. And the reason why I say that is because some of the best people in this world that have done amazing things have come from nothing. Came from derelict parents, alcoholic parents, perceived trailer trash. Those are the best American stories, right? Those are the best. We love hearing the American story coming out of rubble. And that's kind of what I feel like could have happened with Fabian, you know? He was a little boy that would have changed that family's world, and we would have prayed that it would have changed that family's world for the better. Will that happen? We don't know. We can only hope. We can only hope. But what we do know is that we'll never know. I hope whoever is responsible for this is brought to justice. I hope if anybody has any information about this case, you report the tip. I know it's dangerous. I know that I can see it. I see the videos. I see every single person in these videos having guns. Young kids with a lot of anger and drug dealing with a bunch of guns going out there half cocked, 10 foot tall and bulletproof. I'm sorry, that's a dangerous area for me. And I'm sorry, stop and frisk at this moment in that area would probably be a good policing strategy. Because I'm pretty sure, just like Matthew should not have had those guns, there are plenty of people in that area that should not be possessing any type of firearm due to felonies and other reasons. I know people don't like some of these laws, or they feel like these laws are specific to one person or one skin type or another, but no. I don't care what community. I think stop and frisk is a very good police strategy. If you, I'm sorry, but I believe that law enforcement, just like we have sixth sense, right? We go into a place, we get the EBGB feeling, we know something ain't right. I believe law enforcement in their experience knows when somebody's doing something they shouldn't be doing. And a little stop and frisk couldn't hurt anybody. But in this country, we're told that that is wrong. So we have to be in jeopardy and in fear because criminals have more right than law-abiding citizens, don't you know? Almost 13 and I still don't allow him to play outside by himself. Yeah, you can't. You can't. I mean, we were just watching going through that one guy. What was his name? The child killer. What was his name? Lewis Lent. Where he was driving the back roads, he snatched a 16-year-old boy from his bike. A 16-year-old boy. And killed him. It's getting hard to let any of our children out of our sight. It's hard to even allow our 20-something-year-olds out of our sight at this day and age. Heck, I'm too scared to go to freaking San Antonio, Texas to cover this case because this world's gotten so damn crazy. It's just that I knew there was gang relations there, and I didn't feel, because I'm just a mouthy broad, and ain't nobody going to tell me what to do, and I know that. So, and I know that's going to get me in trouble one day. I don't really care. I'm going to live my life the way I'm going to live my life, but I'm not going to put myself in jeopardy. I know exactly who I am, right? I'm comfortable in my own skin. I'm perfectly satisfied with who I am, and I know my limitations. All right, guys, that's all we have. I hope you guys learned something. Don't forget that, this stuff does take a lot of time. If you guys would like to sponsor the channel, there's ways to sponsor this channel through Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. You can also do things for free, like watching these videos on this channel, as well as Bullhorn Betty TC, and get those watch hours up there. That's what you can do. You can share, you can post, you can help with this. And again, you can also, if you're watching on the replay and you learned something from this, don't forget, you can also give a super thanks. So God bless each and every one of you. I hope you guys make it a great day. I hope you learned something. We might be back here at 6:30 at night. We were trying to do 2 shows. So if we have enough information tonight, I will be doing another show. Also, we have to take advantage of the fact that our other channel is not monetized, which allows us to be a little more flexible in what we're able to show on the other channel, kind of like this one was when we were trying to get it monetized. So I'm actually thinking we are going to do a separate show all by itself on the new channel. And we might just do a little, I don't know, maybe we might throw a little drama in. I don't know. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure yet. But we're going to have to do a couple shows on the new channel all by themselves, not attached to this one, so we can get some people migrated over there and get that watch time up. We're never going to be sitting in a situation where we could ever be in fear of jeopardizing or losing our channel because some idiot wants to violate federal law in an effort to take out another channel, right? And that's what is happening. That's what it was happening. That's why the account right now is got the brakes pumped on it, because of everything that they've got to do. So it seems on the right side of this, it looks like that we will be getting our channel back. So we're just going to have to go through the process. But until then, we're never going to have ourselves put in a position like that again. We have 3 separate channels on 3 separate accounts. No matter what, we will be here, no matter how nasty these animals get here on the streets of YouTube, because we're the coffee club, right? This is the Bullhorn Betty channel. And if anybody knows anything about the Bullhorn Betty name, we do not give up. We do not give up. Lori has a question. Let me see what your question is, Lori. Oh, wait. Now I'm going to wonder all day. Oh, wait. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to find you. Trying to find your question. Trying to find you. I didn't go downtown Sarasota for New Year's because I was nowhere to run. I'm still trying to find you. What was your question? Maybe it might be easier for you to. Can anybody cut and paste her question in for me, please? We are fearless. Yes, we are. And we never give up. That's why I'm such a problem, is that we never give up. We do what the hell we want to do on here. We do it lawfully, legally. And we're going to continue to do what we do lawfully and legally. Ain't nobody taking this girl out, right? We don't do anything wrong. What do we do? Talk talk about crime? And when people get on, pissing our Cheerios, we might bring them up. Ooh, boo-hoo. Boo-hoo with the 15 videos they make about me. Boo-hoo. If you can't, you're telling me I can't handle criticism after 3 years, and I say boo, and you start crying like a little bee on your community tab. Oh my God, Betty! Really? That means you can't take what you're putting out. So sit down, shut up, and move on. Right? Sit down, shut up, and move on. I have a funny feeling we're gonna be hearing from a piece of I guess we could call it crazy bread. We're probably gonna have another video about how horrible I am from a person that doesn't get off their ass to do anything to help anyone except herself, right? Of course, but has a lot to say about yours truly. So I expect this to be another boring regurgitation of the last 3 years, today as well as Thursday, because the lady can't just move on. She's so obsessed. She can't leave the money on the table and just start a new person. She's got to try and just pimp my name out It doesn't matter. She's going into the crapper. The only people that listen to her are the same stupid ass people that have listened to her for the last 3 years. I had literally 60 emails from her last one saying that they can't even stand listening to her anymore. She has just gone completely obsessed with me. She has lost all of her focus. She doesn't even try anymore to actually make good commentary. All she does, she doesn't even look at the video. She doesn't even listen to it. It's like she's literally watching the video and talking to them as she's watching it. She's gotten so lazy and so expectant of their viewership that she's just gotten lazy. She doesn't even do any work anymore. All she does is find a video and say, oh, listen to this, listen to this, listen to this. If people wanted to hear my own words, they can come here and hear my own words, right? I mean, if that's really what, I was showing him in her own words. No, what you're doing is you're taking my words, you're telling your audience what my subliminal message really means, and there's no subliminal message there. That's a flat out lie that you're perpetrating on your audience for a narrative because you were untruthful, you are a liar, you've been a liar, and now the whole world is realizing you have a vendetta that you have been working and using them as pawns at your vendetta. You have never told your audience why you originally came after me to begin with, have you? Maybe you need to start there first, little girl. Maybe you need to start there first. Because while you're sitting there telling, you started the lawsuits first. Why? Did you tell him that your friend was sending me knives, bloody knives in my email? Of course not. Of course not. You didn't tell your audience that. You didn't tell your audience the emails that I was receiving from your friend. You didn't tell them any of that. Just that I was being mean and I wanted to go and do what I did. But why was I on your radar before that? Maybe it's time for you to start being honest with your audience because you stole $40,000 from them over this nonsense and you helped. So I think you owe your audience an answer for that because you can't keep blaming Bullhorn Betty for everything. Just a little food for thought. God bless everybody. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe and kind to one another.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.